Nearly 3 decades have passed since that fateful night in Paris, yet the name Diana Spencer still sends shockwaves through Britain every time it is spoken. Her death was long described as a tragic accident, but behind the official reports and polished statements, countless questions were left unanswered. Now, according to new information from Scotland Yard, royal investigators have officially reopened the case surrounding the death of Princess Diana, a decision that has shaken Buckingham Palace to its core. Sources reveal that the order to reopen the investigation was signed after previously undisclosed evidence surfaced. The document, reportedly linked to her burial at Althorpe, led investigators to an unexpected turning point: the decision to reopen Diana's coffin to verify a detail overlooked for nearly 27 years. What they found inside, according to one anonymous witness, left Prince William in utter disbelief. An insider close to the palace says that William was immediately informed when the investigative team left the estate in the early morning hours. He remained silent for several hours before demanding to see the complete report. Many believe this was the moment the heir to the throne was forced to confront the most painful truth about his mother's death, a truth that the royal family may have tried to conceal for years. This is no ordinary re-examination. It is a reminder that the mysteries surrounding Princess Diana's death were never truly buried. In tonight's investigation, we delve into the latest findings, retrace the royal investigators' steps, and uncover what they discovered inside Diana's coffin, a revelation so powerful it left Prince William shattered. You all know about Princess Diana's tragic death in Paris and the funeral regarded as the greatest of the 20th century, honoring the Queen of People's Hearts. But here's what you didn't know. Her coffin was never opened throughout the entire ceremony. Not once. In October 2025, as the British royal family reels from a wave of media scandals and the king's declining health, a top-secret document suddenly reaches the palace. The parcel sent from Paris and sealed with the old insignia of Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, where Diana drew her last breath, has triggered a full-scale alert within royal security circles. According to inside sources, the royal police and Interpol have reopened the accident file, uncovering new details never before revealed in certified records about the 1997 forensic procedure and funeral protocol, a lead-sealed coffin, no access granted to anyone outside diplomatic officials, and witnesses bound to lifelong silence. Was the sealing merely a matter of medical regulation and royal dignity, or is there something else hidden? Something that happened to Princess Diana's body during those mysterious hours between Paris and London? And if the truth were to come to light, could the British monarchy withstand the emotional earthquake that's coming? In mid-October, as chilly winds from the North Atlantic swept through the ancient stone walls of Kensington Palace, London seemed poised for a long, uneasy winter. Golden leaves scattered across the paths, rustling like whispers from the past. Prince William, the heir to the throne, had just returned from a grueling flight from Boston after the Earth-shot prize events, the environmental award he'd poured his heart into building. His days in America had brought him some relief: projects safeguarding the planet, conversations with young scientists, all convincing him that the future held hope despite the unhealed scars of his past. William stepped into the familiar palace, the warmth from the fireplace spreading through the air, yet he still felt a deep-seated weariness. He shrugged off his thick wool coat, hung it on the rack, and was about to sit down for a rest when his personal valet, Thomas, a loyal, middle-aged man who'd served the royals for over 2 decades, approached. In his hands was a small package the size of a thick book, sealed with shimmering red wax under the crystal chandelier's glow. "Sir, this arrived while you were in America," Thomas said, his voice steady but laced with concern. "No sender's name, just a postmark. From Paris. We've checked security. No signs of danger." William furrowed his brow slightly, his blue eyes flashing with curiosity mixed with unease. Paris, the city of light, but for him forever tied to the darkness of 1990 when his mother, Princess Diana, departed forever in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. On the thick paper envelope, scrolled in blue ink, "For the son who deserves the truth about his mother." William's heart pounded harder. The truth about mother. he repeated in his mind, a whirlwind of thoughts flooding in. How many years had it been since he'd dreamed of her? Her radiant smile, her warm hugs, but also the nightmares of the car crash, the funeral, the sealed coffin he and his brother Harry were never allowed to open. He carried the package to his private study, a quiet room with towering bookshelves and a portrait of Diana on the wall, her eyes gazing down as if watching over him. With slightly trembling hands, William gently broke the red wax seal. Inside was a stack of aged documents, yellowed with time, stamped Hôpital de la Salpêtrière, Paris. This was the hospital where his mother had been rushed after the accident. He flipped through the pages, his heart thumping like a war drum. And then the line that froze him. Deep 4 centimeter stab wound in the right abdomen, inconsistent with vehicle impact. The blood in William's veins seemed to stop. A wave of dizziness hit him, the world blurring around him. Impossible, he whispered, his voice faltering. Memories flooded back like a torrent. He was just 15, learning of his mother's death in the dead of night. Then the solemn funeral with millions mourning. But the coffin had always remained closed. Now this document suggested what? An assassination? A conspiracy? William shuddered, his vision darkening, and he collapsed into the soft leather chair. The valet Thomas rushed in, panicked, calling for the royal physician. In the chaos, a small envelope slipped from the file, inscribed in bold red ink. Don't trust what's buried with her. One haunting question lingered. Who sent this gift, and why? After nearly 3 decades now, William lay on the chair, breathing ragged, tears streaming down his cheeks. He thought of his mother, of the secrets the royals always hid to protect their image. But now that facade was cracking, and he, the eldest son, had to face the storm about to break. Late into the night, as London slept, Kensington Palace remained ablaze with light. The desk lamp reflected off William's pale face, his eyes red-rimmed from sleeplessness and emotion. He sat alone in the study, the file open before him like a ticking time bomb. This time he read more slowly, forcing himself to stay calm and analyze every detail. The documents were copies of a medical report from a French doctor named Dr. Claire, with shaky handwritten notes. Recommend expanded forensic examination. Suspected puncture wound from sharp object. Right below, in bold red, all procedures halted. No further examination. Order from Prince Charles, Prince of Wales. William set the file down, his hands clenching into fists. Memories of the 1997 funeral replayed like a black and white film. He and Harry, 2 young boys, walking behind their mother's coffin through London streets. Millions surrounding them. They'd begged their father for one last look, but Charles had firmly refused. To preserve her peaceful image, he'd said then. Now Charles's signature on the document made William feel as if the entire foundation of his family was crumbling. Why would father hide this from me, even in mother's death? He whispered, his voice thick with pain. He reflected on his own life, growing up under the flash of media, always smiling despite a broken heart. His mother, Diana, was an icon of compassion, but also a victim of court intrigues. Was this document the key to unraveling it all, or just a cruel hoax? Meanwhile, at the Royal Police Headquarters, Inspector David Kemp, a veteran detective with over 25 years investigating royal matters, was tasked with verifying the package. Kemp was a tall man with silver hair and eyes sharp as knives. He'd handled countless threats to royal security, from anonymous letters to terror plots. His initial report noted the Paris postmark was genuine, sent from a small post office in Montmartre. The paper and stamps matched authentic samples from Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital. But the file code PS2139 didn't exist in official medical archives. Kemp sat in his cramped office, cigarette smoke curling despite regulations, muttering, "Something's off. This could be a sophisticated forgery." He launched a formal investigation, contacting Interpol and forensic experts. Deep down, a thrill stirred. This wasn't ordinary. It touched the greatest secret of the British monarchy. If real, it could topple the throne. If fake, who dared such a risk? William, after an endless, sleepless night, slipped quietly into the bedroom. The dim nightlight illuminated Catherine's face as she sat propped against the headboard, book in hand, but eyes fixed on him. "Kate, I don't know what to do," he whispered, voice trembling, sitting on the bed's edge. This could change everything. Catherine set the book aside, taking his hand, her warm palm gently rubbing his shaking knuckles. "We'll get through it together. But be careful. Don't let the past swallow the present." Her embrace offered a sliver of warmth in the cold night. But William knew the quest for truth was just beginning. The next morning, as the sun peeked through England's gray clouds, William drove his familiar Range Rover to Clarence House unannounced. The winding countryside roads through green fields did little to soothe his churning mind. He imagined confronting his father, King Charles III, the man who'd lived his life in the shadow of royal duty. The peaceful atmosphere shattered as William entered the small drawing room. King Charles sat reading state papers with Queen Camilla, pouring tea from an antique porcelain set beside him. She startled briefly at William's arrival, but quickly offered a polite smile. "William, what a surprise," Charles said, his voice warm yet defensive. William cut straight to it, locking eyes with his father. "Did you ever see Mother's face one last time?" The air froze. The clock's ticking echoed like a bomb. Camilla set her teacup down with a slight tremor. Charles sighed, his eyes weary. "William, why ask now after all these years?" "I need to know," William interrupted, emotions surging. "I received documents from Paris. They mentioned wounds on Mother's body, not from the crash, and you ordered the examination halted." Camilla interjected softly but firmly. "William, you must understand some past matters are best left undisturbed. It only brings more pain." William turned to her, fire in his eyes. "Whose pain are you talking about? Father's or the woman you replaced?" Camilla froze, her face paling. She'd been at the center of the Charles-Diana divorce scandal, and now old wounds reopened. Charles breathed heavily, his tone sharpening. "I saw her, William, and I wish I hadn't been the last to do so. Your mother, she looked peaceful, but her body covered in wounds from the accident. Why not let us see? Why hide Mother from the world? Or were you hiding something for someone?" William shouted, tears welling. Camilla rose, voice rising. "The world had seen enough blood. William, some images should never exist. We had to protect you children, protect the monarchy. You have no right to speak her name." William roared, fists clenched. Charles slammed his hand on the table, shattering a teacup. Porcelain shards flying. "Enough, some truths, if exposed, would kill the last shreds of humanity in this monarchy. I chose silence to protect you and Harry. Don't force me to say it all." William stormed out, tears flowing freely. He drove back, mind reeling. Camilla watched from the window, sighing. Sometimes silence is the only way to keep a family from falling apart. Charles sat motionless, memories of Diana flooding back in agony. This confrontation was merely the prelude to a greater storm. 3 days later, under the guise of earth-shot prize business, Prince William flew to Paris with Inspector David Kemp. The plane landed in drizzling rain, the city of lights shrouded in gray mist. Their black car crept through cobblestone streets past the flickering Eiffel Tower. But William had no eyes for the sights. He felt as if stepping back into the past where his mother had slipped away. They arrived first at Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital. An elderly nurse named Monique de Somme with neatly tied silver hair greeted them in the chilly corridor. She trembled at the sight of William. "You look so much like your mother. I remember that night as if it were yesterday." All the ER cameras suddenly went dark for over 20 minutes. Then we got orders from the British Embassy. "No talking to anyone, no disclosures," Kemp asked professionally. "Did they give a reason?" Monique sighed. "They said it was for medical reasons. Blood in the car, so keep it quiet to avoid complications. But something felt off. Everything happened too fast. The princess, she fought to the end, but the wounds were too severe. William stayed silent, his heart twisting. He pictured his mother there alone in the Paris night. "Thank you," he said, voice choking. That afternoon, they visited the Boulogne-Cerisier funeral home. The elderly manager Claude, with his silver mustache, bowed. "I remember it vividly. The princess's coffin was welded shut with silver metal, unlike any ordinary one. They said it was to prevent chemical leaks and maintain royal dignity. We just followed orders." William asked, "Did that seem unusual to you?" Claude nodded. "We'd never seen anything like it, but they claimed it was a special request from the British side, diplomatic orders. I didn't dare question, perhaps to fend off the press." William glanced at Kemp, voice lowering. "What do you think they were really protecting? Health or honor?" Kemp replied, "Possibly both, sir. But we'll find answers. I just got word. The package was posted from a small Montmartre office by a woman in her 30s in a black hat using a false name." William nodded, unease gnawing at him. Outside, Paris faded into fog, Notre Dame's bells tolling distantly. He stood still amid the crowds, sensing the truth tantalizingly close yet elusive. In the shadowed corners of Clarence House, where twilight filtered through heavy velvet curtains, King Charles III sat alone under the faint glow of a reading lamp, illuminating his aged, wrinkled face. On the table lay Inspector David Kemp's investigation report, dense pages of details that, to Charles, were not mere words, but knives carving into the past. He flipped through them, eyes blurring, as memories surged like a violent flood. Paris, 1997, that fateful night when the world seemed to collapse at his feet. Charles recalled it as if reliving the moment, the night Diana died. He flew to Paris immediately upon hearing, his heart shattered by a loss he'd never imagined. At Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, with its sterile corridors and sharp antiseptic smell, Diana lay there on the stark white bed, her face eerily serene despite the horrific wounds from the car crash, deep cuts from shattered glass, widespread bruises, internal injuries beyond saving. Charles knelt by the bed, clutching her cold hand, tears streaming down his cheeks. A prince trained to conceal emotions, now sobbing like a child bereft of his mother. "I'm here to bring you home. On my honor, for the love of our two boys sleeping unaware, their mother will never wake," he whispered, voice breaking in anguish. It wasn't just to Diana. It was a vow to his own conscience, to safeguard what remained of her. With trembling hands, Charles personally draped the royal embossed shroud over her body, an act beyond protocol, born from the broken heart of an ex-husband and father, piecing together family fragments. He didn't want the world to see Diana as a pitiful victim, but as an enduring symbol of compassion and beauty. Hours later, in an emergency meeting with British and French officials, he signed the order to repatriate her remains. The Home Office noted clearly, "Request to seal coffin, health and safety per international protocols." The coffin was lined with thick lead, a standard measure against decomposition and leakage, especially for long-distance transport under global media pressure. But for Charles, it was more than protocols, a shield for Diana's final image from prying lenses and sensational headlines that might turn her into a tragedy rather than a heroine. Now in Clarence House, Charles closed the report with a heavy sigh. The door creaked open and Catherine entered. At his unexpected invitation, her familiar gentleness evident in her glossy brown hair and warm smile that always brought peace to the royals. She sat beside him, taking his hand. "Your Majesty, William is suffering deeply. He thinks there's a conspiracy that you've hidden the truth. Why seal the coffin? Why not let him and Harry see her one last time?" Charles looked at Catherine, eyes welling with emotion. He paused, wrestling inwardly, then spoke slowly, weighted with gravity. "I signed that order, but I didn't scrutinize every detail. The officials said it was law, international health safety to prevent infection and decay en route to Britain. But deep down, I know it was also for dignity. I didn't want William and Harry to see their mother like that. Bloodied, mangled wounds from the crash. Diana, she deserved to depart like a queen, not a wretched victim. I chose to preserve the best image in their memories. Her radiant smile, her sparkling eyes, not eternal scars. Catherine nodded, eyes welling with tears. I understand, Your Majesty. That's a father's love. But William needs to hear it from you, said Yehayankton. He's lost in doubt. Charles gazed out the window at darkening London, voice emotional like a belated confession. I lost her once. Catherine, in a broken marriage, scandals, and that Paris night. I didn't want to lose my sons to harsh truths that Diana's death was fate's tragedy, not conspiracy. But now I see silence isn't always protection. It can become a burden. Those memories tormented him utterly, yet marked a turning point. He'd face William not as king, but as father. This inner turmoil's climax didn't just close the past, it opened hope for family reconciliation. A week later, as London buzzed with rumors of the mysterious file package, the royal investigators finally traced the sender. A dramatic twist, leaving the monarchy and global media breathless. The culprit was Eleanor Hughes, a 34-year-old former psychology researcher from Manchester. No secret enemy or international spy, but an ordinary woman ensnared by personal obsession. Eleanor had volunteered at a 2021 Royal Mental Health event, attempting to approach Prince William with a study on parental loss trauma, a topic she believed he was denying. Politely rebuffed by security, she spiraled into fixation, tracking every royal news item, amassing Diana documents, and convincing herself William needed liberation from secrets she'd fabricated. Police raided her modest Manchester suburb flat on a drizzly morning, finding her amid chaotic papers. The room was a personal Diana shrine, walls plastered with news clippings, shelves stacked with biographies, desk cluttered with an old printer. Detectives seized evidence, a laser printer for aging paper effects, antique paper from flea markets, forged Pitié-Salpêtrière stamps, dozens of clipped Diana articles with scrolled notes like "Truth Buried," and crucially, the original 2004 Operation Paget medical report publicly released confirming Diana's death as a car accident sans conspiracy. But Eleanor had artfully overlaid fake details about a Force-Muller stab using editing software. Handcuffed, Eleanor's face ashen, tears streaming as she was led to the police van. In the stark neon-lit interrogation room, she sobbed her confession. I just wanted him to see that truth doesn't die just because it's sealed away. I adore Prince William. He's a symbol of strength, but living in delusion. His mother was harmed, and the royals covered it up. I faked the files to awaken him, to make him face the real trauma. Her admission stemmed not from malice, but disordered psychology. Obsession twisted into delusion, convincing her actions were helping the prince. That evening, the BBC aired a special. Royal investigators reveal the shocking truth about why Diana's coffin was never opened. Millions in Britain and worldwide glued to screens, awaiting the climax. Royal conspiracy, Inspector Kemp, stern yet compassionate under studio lights, declared where royal police confirmed no evidence Princess Diana suffered injuries beyond the car crash. The coffin sealing stemmed from international health protocols, preserving the body per transport regulations and Prince Charles's wish to safeguard her serene final image. This isn't dark intrigue. It's pure humanity. A father sparing his sons the horror of her wounds. Sometimes truth isn't in papers or forgeries, but in the pains we choose to forget to heal. News spread like wildfire. Global headlines sensational. Diana's secret. No plot. Just fatherly love. From the New York Times to Le Monde, chatter focused on Eleanor, an obsessed woman turned unwitting fraudster. William watched from Kensington's study. Relief mingled with sorrow. He pondered his mother, father, and this stranger. The saga's climax ended not as an earth-shaking scandal, but the harsh truth of a misguided soul, reminding that personal pain can brew unexpected tempests. The next day, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, Windsor Castle, emblem of British royal might, bathed in soft golden twilight, gentle as nature's solace. Ancient stone walls glowed warm orange, and the tranquil gardens reserved for royal private strolls whispered with autumn chill. Carrying damp grass and fallen leaves, there, amid late-blooming rose bushes and time-worn gravel paths, stood Princess Diana's statue, cast in bronze, her radiant smile, arms outstretched embracing the world, flanked by three children symbolizing her global compassion for youth. Prince William walked slowly along the path, each step heavy with pent-up emotions from the week. In his hand, a sealed envelope from royal police, the official medical report delivered that morning post-BBC broadcast, thick and stamped. It held not just documents, but the key to unlocking gnawing doubts. William paused, breathing in crisp autumn air. Steadying himself, he reflected on the journey, the enigmatic Paris gift, tense father confrontation, French hospital revelations, all led here to confronting the final truth. King Charles awaited by an ancient granite bench under a centuries-old oak, his eyes weary from sleepless nights, yet warmed with rare tenderness, a father's readiness to shed protective armor for family mending, dressed in a simple wool coat, emphasizing this as father-son, not king-heir. As William neared, Charles rose first, voice slow and emotional. "I've lived to safeguard royal honor. William, but now I see honor can't heal human wounds. It's a mere facade masking real pains." William halted, eyes welling as he met his father's gaze. He sensed sincerity, not a king's command, but a man's shared loss. "I thought mother was buried with secrets," William replied, voice quivering, holding back emotional waves. "I doubted you, the whole family, but it was your fear buried too. Fear harsh truth would destroy us." Charles nodded, hands clenching as if embracing memories. He sat on the bench, gesturing to William beside him, the air serene, only wind, rustling leaves, and distant birdsong. "If there's one thing I wish most in life," Charles said gravely, "it's that your mother departed as a true woman, not the icon the world built. Diana, she was my love. Though we lost our way in marriage, I didn't want you boys remembering her through crash horrors, cuts, blood, physical agony. I wanted her smile, compassion, the way she held you. That's why I sealed the coffin, not hiding plots, but preserving that beautiful memory." William paused silently, autumn breeze tousling his hair. He opened the envelope, hands shaking as he scanned the pristine official medical report. Crisp pages with 1997 doctors and official signatures. No 4 centimeter stab, no sharp object or conspiracy evidence. All standard forensics. Death from internal injuries via car impact. William read each line, heart aching. Tears rolled down, not disappointment, but relief. An emotional climax as doubts dissolved. "Mother," he choked, voice breaking like the 15-year-old boy of old. "Finally, I understand that coffin wasn't veiling dark truths, but preserving your finest image. You left in peace, and Father shielded that for us." Charles rose, approaching his son, and for the first time in years placed a hand on William's shoulder, a warm paternal gesture. "I'll abdicate sooner than planned, William," he said firmly yet emotionally. "The crown weighs not just gold and gems, but those who've fallen so you may rise. Diana sacrificed much. I won't burden you alone. Lead with heart as she did." Father and son gazed at Diana's statue, end of daylight casting long blending shadows. The bronze seemed alive in sunset, her smile warm, eyes watching this healing. William wiped tears, feeling renewed energy, not anger, but forgiveness. He embraced his father, a tight hug after emotional years apart. "Thank you, Father," he whispered. for protecting us, even through silence. Day's final light faded, merging three silhouettes, mother, father, son, in dying gold. Autumn wind carried faint rose scent like Diana's whisper, forgive and move on. A chapter closed not with shattering scandal or dark plots, but simple truth, profound mercy, and genuine forgiveness. And so, the secret of Diana's coffin is unveiled. Not courtly darkness, but a father's quiet love. In a politics-churned world of power and secrets intertwined, sometimes the plainest truth proves strongest, capable of healing humanity's deepest wounds. Do you feel your heart tighten while witnessing William's pain? Or are you also wondering if silence is truly the best way to protect when the truth is revealed? Do you believe a father's love can be stronger than any conspiracy? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy